Yo, what's going on, guys? Chris Barner here, Overtime Athletes. For today's video, I want to touch on a topic that I get a lot of questions about pertaining to parents and coaches that ask me, is some of the programs that we do fit for their age bracket? And what I wanted to do was come out with a full overview of training for youth performance. Now, if you're interested in a full program going over all these parameters, you guys can check out the link down below. I just released my newest program that walks you through how to, and it gives you actual programs of how to train youth athletes. Now, this is based on the late specialization model. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard the common statistic thrown around at the NFL draft where majority, I want to say like 95+% of the athletes drafted were multi-sport athletes in high school. What that means is they didn't specialize. Early specialization comes from sports such as gymnastics and ice skating, where the peak of that particular athlete is actually at the high school range. What this is referring to is late specialization. This is your soccer, baseball, football, basketball, most of those team sports where we want to continue to develop the athlete physically, and then as they get later into their career, whether they get a scholarship in college or something of that nature, then they can start to specialize in that actual training aspect for that particular sport. So getting right into it, I want to get into how we break it down based off of age, okay? So first and foremost, you have ages 6 through 9, 6 through 10, depending on the actual athlete. And what you want to do and program for these particular athletes is what we refer to as the fundamentals. Really, this is your ABCs, your agility, your balance, and your coordination. You want to keep giving them new stimulus, new stress via the movements that they perform, and then have them continuously adapt to that stimulus. Very basic movements. You're going to establish your movements as far as push, pull, bend, squat, gate, twist, but then you're also going to do a lot of single leg work, things of that are going to challenge their balance and coordination, a lot of lateral movement. Overall, you want to train about 1 day per week, but then the other 4 or 5 days that you want to do something active, you might want to, if this is a baseball player, if you're a parent or a coach, go shoot some hoops with them, go play them one-on-one, go play other sports where they have to adapt, from a gross motor skill, being able to adapt and essentially get better across the board at different and various sports, as opposed to honing in and trying to train 4 days a week. The next age bracket is going to be ages 9 through 12. Now, this is where an athlete really learns the etiquette, the technique, the foundation, or lays the foundation for actual training, right? This is where you want to actually learn to train. So now we take that push, pull, bend, squat, gate, twist, those fundamental patterns, and we actually hone in on technique. This is where an athlete really learns how to properly squat through, say, a goblet squat. This is how we accurately teach them how to perform a bench press or a push-up, a pull-up. This is where I think at that age range, you want to spend the most time as far as technique, but then as far as your running, your jumping, your throwing, you want to perform them at a high velocity. It's not mechanics of speed or anything like that, but you want to go high velocity with the jumping, the throwing, and the sprinting. Why? Because at this age range, if you train fast, you get fast. If you train slow, you get slow. A lot of parents think, oh, just go get in shape, go run around the block. That's what I used to do. That's not the case here. We want to make sure that they perform those movements at a high velocity so that they continue to develop the motor pattern and the muscle fibers, and the motor patterns are sequencing. Finally, we have ages 12 through 16, and this is where the athletes start to train to actually train, right? We want to get better, but again, it's still we're not specializing. Like, for instance, if I have a baseball pitcher in travel ball, I'm not getting them better, and I'm not programming around trying to get them to throw harder per se like I would an elite athlete who's maybe in the major leagues, right? We want to continue to elevate him all around. He's still going to perform agility movement even though he's just sitting on a pitcher's mound, right? We're going to still work linear speed. We're going to still work vertical jumps and broad jumps and still train pressing, pulling, squatting, hinging, things of that nature to continue to elevate his physicality. So we're training to train, but we're training it from a gross and we're not specializing just yet. After 16, really after 18 is where you start to really specialize in on that athlete to be able to focus on their particular sport, unless again they specialize early on. Real quick, this model is based off a doctor in Canada named Istvan Bayi, and he actually did extensive research on long-term development of athletes and their careers. So that's it for youth performance. I'll get into these a little bit deeper as we go, but I wanted to give an overview based on your child's needs and bracket, because I do get a lot of parents asking me at certain ages, you know, one of the most common questions is, I want a speed assessment, I want you to develop a speed program. Well, if you're in this, anywhere within this age bracket, realize that you're not focusing on mechanics per se. There's a couple little things that you can change if an athlete has developed a bad habit, but for the most part, really what you want to do is develop from a gross level, and you want to elevate their relative force production, get them stronger, get them running, jumping, and throwing at a high velocity, and you will start to see those things develop in them physically as they go along. So I hope that helps, guys. Like I said, if you're interested in a full program for youth performance, go ahead and check out down below. I'll see you guys next time.